Hey guys, welcome back to another video. A quick update to my last video. After this very odd Hoover attempt from my ex-boyfriend, I was feeling very angry and I was a little bit creeped out just because of how strange this whole thing was. And the following day, I received a notification on LinkedIn. He was actually endorsing me for all these random things that made no sense. I was sure that I blocked him on LinkedIn, but I guess I didn't, so I ended up blocking him on that too. I did a little bit of damage control. I told some friends, I told my boss, and I told security at my job about the situation, just in case my ex ever decides to show up where I work. I didn't need anything happening. I also went to the police department, and they told me to fill out a report if I feared for my life. And honestly, I don't fear for my life. Robert is not dangerous at all. He's just very, very creepy. So they told me that they would call him to tell him not to contact me, but being the manipulative person that he is, I was sure he would find some way to turn this around on me. So I elected not to make an official report. But I was advised that if he does contact me again, to go ahead and fill out a harassment report. I was also advised that I should make my Instagram account private, but I use it to promote my business and my work, so I knew it really wouldn't work in my favor at the end of the day. I work very hard on everything that I do, and I just can't see myself altering my life anymore for this. But I have no qualms about altering his. So that is why I had him banned from several bars and music venues, because as I've mentioned, I work in several different places. And I just don't need him bringing any type of drama and nonsense to my workplace. So anyway, that's that. I will definitely keep you guys updated on that situation. And I did receive a ton of comments and emails about this. So thank you guys so much for the support. So today's topic is psychological projection. It is a defense mechanism. It's sort of a form of denial, a form of guilt. They try to deny their own negative qualities by blaming others for having them. So for instance, a narcissist is very insecure, but they don't really want to believe or accept that they are insecure. So in order to feel better about themselves, they will attribute this trait to other people. If the narcissist is very disorganized and forgetful, they might blame someone else for being disorganized and forgetful. In this way, it's sort of an offshoot of gaslighting, and the other person starts to introspect. I made a video about these two topics. I will link that below. Another example would be, let's say the person portrays themselves as a homophobe, very hateful towards gay people, because they're secretly gay themselves, and they're just scared to admit it. So rather than accept themselves, they bash other people to turn the attention to someone else. Now, not everyone who projects is a narcissist. It's a tactic that a lot of people can use, but you need to meet a lot of other criteria in order to be labeled a narcissist. But remember, the label doesn't matter. If somebody exhibits any red flag over and over again, they're problematic, and it doesn't matter what you call it. So my ex-boyfriend would do this type of stuff to me a lot. And it's kind of hard to come up with examples because it was more of a constant, very subtle thing he would do. But he would constantly make me feel the way he felt. He was, very deep down, he was very insecure. And he wanted me to feel that way too. And he was very controlling. So he would often accuse me of being controlling. My mother was a master at projection. And I will talk a lot about this when I start my series on narcissistic parents. But, briefly, she would yell at me for being rude. She would interrupt me. And meanwhile, she would interrupt me to tell me that I'm interrupting her. She's probably the rudest and most disrespectful person I've ever met. She would yell at me, tell me I'm persistent, and meanwhile, she would repeat the same things over and over and over again until I was sick of hearing it. So all of these negative things she would do, she would yell at me for doing them. So I'd be sitting there not saying a word, and she would scream at me that I was being loud, and meanwhile, I haven't even gotten the chance to say anything. This somewhat ties into the narcissist being a huge hypocrite. She would yell, she would insult me, but I wasn't allowed to defend myself. And I wasn't allowed to say the exact same thing back to her because that was rude. So I know this particular playlist is about relationships, but I couldn't really give you solid examples of how Robert would project. It's a very vague thing, but it was definitely going on. I know this is a very short video, but it's a very vague topic to talk about. It's hard to describe, it's hard to go into details, but you get the general idea. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you guys very soon.